In today's episode, I discuss whether gym owners should add Hyrox training to their fitness business. And I unpack the 6 key questions that you can ask to help decide if it's the right fit for you. Here are things you'll learn in today's episode. Firstly, how to assess whether Hyrox actually solves a meaningful problem for your specific target market. Secondly, why understanding your gym's USP is critical before adding new programs like Hyrox. Thirdly, how offering too many services can actually dilute your positioning and weaken your brand. Fourthly, the importance of being either 10 times better or meaningfully different when competing with other fitness businesses. Next, how to spot hidden opportunities by zigging when other gyms are zagging. And finally, you will learn the risks of aligning yourself and your gym's brand with external brands like Hyrox and how that can impact your reputation in the long term. Gym owners are always looking for the next big thing. It's that thing that's going to add a couple of zeros to the bottom line of their bank statement. So when Hyrox came along, a lot of the gym owners I know saw dollar signs. Here was a global fitness movement that's captured the attention of both recreational exercisers and pro athletes. Now, if you've been living under a rock, Hyrox is basically a cross between a fun run for people who get bored easily, an obstacle race for people who don't like getting mud in their hair, and a CrossFit competition for people who can't walk on their hands. And this is a movement, a global movement that's expected to reach almost 500,000 participants this year across 85 different events in 26 countries. And there are around 5,000 affiliated Hyrox gyms worldwide. Now, for gym owners, the barrier to entry here is really low. Most, if not all gyms already have all of the equipment they need to offer their clients and members the Hyrox experience. So the initial financial outlay is virtually non-existent for most people. But here's an interesting observation. If you look at a map of Hyrox gyms, a lot of the 5,000 gyms that I mentioned, those people who offer or who are listed as offering Hyrox, they're actually CrossFit gyms. They're F45s or they're other existing functional fitness businesses. Now, with these huge growth numbers that Hyrox has already achieved and is actually planning, this is a really low barrier to entry. As I mentioned, it almost seems like a no-brainer that you should consider adding Hyrox training to your service offering. It seems like there's no downside. Easy entry, global trend. But there's a pattern, and it's a pattern that repeats time and time again in businesses that are easy to start. Now, because people don't have to work hard or invest heavily to set them up, and because the hurdles to clear are actually pretty low, there's very little filtering. There's nothing to keep out and protect the people who maybe aren't cut out to run a business like that. And this means that everyone gets to play, and that's great, but pretty soon things start to get crowded. It's like the PT industry in general. It's getting easier and easier to become a qualified PT. And the rates of people leaving the industry are getting higher and higher the easier it gets. Now, in the past, I've spoken about ways to pivot your fitness business. In episode 48 of the Business of Fitness podcast, I spoke about 9 ways to pivot your fitness business to earn more. And this article, it got me thinking, is there a filter that we can apply to Hyrox to help you to decide whether it's a smart business move for you? So before jumping aboard the Hyrox train, there are 6 questions that I think you should be able to answer yes to. So let's run through these and I'll unpack each one. Question 1, does Hyrox solve a problem your avatar has better than the solution you're already providing? Every single successful business on earth solves a problem. Coca-Cola solves thirst, Disney solves boredom, Amazon solves lack of time to shop. And each of these businesses has a very clearly defined avatar who they solve this problem for. And your business should have a clearly defined avatar too. Without actually thinking about it, you should be able to clearly and easily complete the sentence, my business helps, insert the type of person you help here, to insert the problem you solve. So, for example, in the fitness industry, my business helps over 60s build stronger bones. Over 60s is the avatar, improving bone strength, reducing osteoporosis is the problem solved. My business helps isolated mums build healthy social connections. My business helps skinny blokes build bigger muscles. Now, if you can't complete this sentence, you've got a bigger problem than whether or not to introduce Hyrox. So start by working out who you're for and how you're going to help them. The type of person that you target is called your avatar, and how you solve their problem is called your value proposition. Every business should have a clearly defined avatar and a clearly defined value proposition. So let's say you can complete that sentence. You know who you're for and you know the problem you solve for that person. And this brings us back to that first question that you need to be able to answer yes to. Does Hyrox solve a problem your avatar has better than the solution you're already providing? Now, dumping your current avatar and disregarding their needs isn't a smart business move. It's like McDonald's deciding to stop selling burgers to their loyal clientele of convenience-chasing Big Mac lovers and instead switching to pizza. Their customers simply don't want pizza. It doesn't solve their problem. Now, you shouldn't switch to Hyrox because it's trending. You should switch because it's a better solution to the problems of the type of people you've decided to help in your business. If your avatar are competitive people who like to have something to train for and love doing cardio, and you feel like Hyrox does a better job of providing that than whatever it is that you're currently doing for your clients, then yes, adding Hyrox to your gym may be a good idea. However, if this isn't your avatar, or you feel like the unique experience you provide is a better fit for your people than what Hyrox offers, maybe question making the switch. Let's move to the second question you should be able to answer yes to ensure that Hyrox will be a good fit for your business. Does it strengthen your USP? Right, one of the very first things that I work on with the fitness business owners I mentor is establishing their USP, their unique selling proposition. This is the thing that their fitness business does that is different from anyone else. In a cookie cutter, copycat world of gyms that seem to be dodgy photocopies of each other, being different can be the biggest advantage that you have in business. Now, when establishing a USP, the thing that's unique about your business, there are two paths that we can take. We can work out what you do better than anyone else, or we can work out what you do that's different to anyone else. And it's easier to be different than better. So that's what I would focus on. Again, you should be able to complete a sentence. The sentence this time is, the thing that we do that is different to everyone else is ... For example, let's look at a brand like Patagonia. This is a really environmentally conscious outdoor adventure clothing company. They might say, the thing that we do that is different to everyone else is that we build outdoor gear that supports environmental activism, not just adventure. We look at a company like Tesla. They may say something like, the thing that we do that is different to everyone else is we make electric cars desirable by combining high performance, innovative tech, and sustainability. Maybe a company like IKEA. The thing that we do that is different to everyone else is we make stylish home furniture affordable through flat pack design and self-assembly. All right, so if I'm working with a business, once I've helped them establish their USP, I ask them to then list 20 things they do, or things they need to start doing maybe, that make that USP true. Now, I need to be able to read that list and think to myself, wow, yeah, this business really is unique, and they can back that up with the daily actions that they take. Now again, let's revisit one of the examples I gave before, that adventure outdoor clothing company, Patagonia. If they were to list their 20 points that support their USP, maybe they'd include things like the fact that they donate 1% of all their sales to environmental causes. Maybe they'd mention the fact that they actively encourage customers to buy less through campaigns like Don't Buy This Jacket, which is a successful campaign they run. Maybe they'd mention the fact that they run a worn wear program where they're actually able to buy back clothes and Patagonia gear for resale. They'd mention that they have a self-imposed earth tax to fund environmental initiatives. They would mention that they publicly share all of their supply chain data and information for full transparency. Now you can see that each of these points, each of these actions that they take, each of these behaviors that the business displays is evidence that their USP is true. It really is evidence that they really are the best at building outdoor gear that supports environmental activism, not just adventure. So my question to you, a fitness business owner, is would adding Hyrox to your gym support your USP or would it detract from it? If your USP is something along the lines of we support recreational athletes in their preparation for community-based physical challenges, then the answer is yes, Hyrox would definitely support your USP. However, if your USP is more focused around creating a friendly, inclusive, non-intimidating environment, then perhaps the addition of Hyrox isn't the best way, isn't in the best interest for your business. Okay, let's move to question number 3. Does Hyrox dilute the services you're already providing? All right, I want you to picture this for me. You walk into a gym, you're a potential client, a customer, a member for that gym. And your goal when you walk in is to get strong. Now, as you walk through the door, you're greeted by that stereotypical series of posters proudly displayed in the front of the business that have all the bios of the personal trainers who operate from that gym. Now, there's usually some sort of cringe quote at the top that says something like, true growth happens outside your comfort zone. But underneath that, there's this list of the areas of expertise for each of those PTs. Now, remember, you're walking into this gym with the goal of getting strong. The first bio, under areas of expertise, it lists weight loss, sport-specific conditioning, injury rehab, pre and postnatal training, toning, hypertrophy, Pilates, yoga, boxing, weight loss, and strength training. Under areas of expertise of the next bio that you look at, it simply says strength training. So if you want to get strong, who do you choose? You're probably not going to choose the person who's got 87 different areas of expertise. You choose the person who specializes in strength training and only strength training. Now, this is called goal dilution, and it's a psychological phenomenon that basically tells us that the more things we claim to be good at, the less people perceive us to be good in each one of those things. Now, if the services that you're offering in your business are focused around improving cardiorespiratory conditioning, the addition of Hyrox may add to that goal. If you're F45 or a high intensity interval training boutique center, the goals may be supported by adding Hyrox. But if that's not what you're famous for, the addition of Hyrox may actually only act to create a goal dilution, which can lead to your marketing dropping the perception of the value that you can provide. You are diluting the service you're providing. Okay, let's move to the 4th question you should be able to answer yes to before considering adding Hyrox to your gym. The question is, can you do a better job of offering Hyrox than anyone else? Or can you offer Hyrox differently to everyone else? Right, in 2005, there was a book called The Blue Ocean Strategy. When this book was published, it spoke about how there are two different oceans that your business can operate in. The first is the red ocean. The red ocean is one where everyone is competing to be the best. You're all doing pretty much the same thing, with everyone trying to be better than everyone else. And there's so much fighting going on that there's blood in the water, hence the red ocean. Now, the blue ocean, this is the ocean that only you are in. You're not spending your time trying to be better. Instead, you are trying to be different. If you're different to everyone else, there is no competition. There's no one to fight with. Now, to succeed in a red ocean, which is where everyone is fighting, trying to be the best, you need to be 10 times better than everyone else. However, to succeed in a blue ocean, where it's only you, you just need to be different. And it's a lot easier to be different than it is to be better. And this brings us to the question, can you do a better job of offering Hyrox than anyone else, or can you offer Hyrox differently to anyone else? Let's break this question into 2 parts. Part 1, can you do a better job of offering Hyrox than anyone else? So can you do a better job? And this one's really tough because to do this, you're in a red ocean. You're fighting with everyone else to try and be the best, and they're fighting with you to try and be the best. And it's really hard to be the best when there's a lot of competition. I wouldn't recommend introducing Hyrox because you think you can do a 10 times better job than anyone else. It's unlikely. Part 2 of the question, can you offer Hyrox differently to everyone else? Okay, this one's got a little bit more potential. If you can find a unique twist on Hyrox, you might just be onto something. Maybe you target a certain demographic, like masters or teens. Maybe you treat training as a periodized season rather than just ongoing classes. Maybe you offer a high-tech, sports science, data-driven approach to Hyrox. But whatever you choose, you need to either be 10 times better or different. If you can't be one of those two things, Hyrox may not be worth the inclusion in your gym. Let's move now to 5. Is there a hidden opportunity to go in a completely different direction? One of the best pieces of advice that I've ever received in business is to zig when everyone else is zagging. If everyone is moving in the direction of Hyrox, maybe there's a hidden opportunity to go in a completely different direction. Maybe you surrender in the battle of trying to be the best Hyrox gym and you stop trying to chase the highly competitive type A market of Hyrox participants. Maybe instead you go in the opposite direction and you zig while everyone else is zagging. This might look anything from a boutique studio focusing on breath-guided mindfulness and meditation and movement flows, right through to an intuitive-based strength training gym that focuses on tempo training and slow movement exploration. Where Hyrox is traditionally a competitive, intense, measurable, time-based and standardized form of exercise, your alternative path could be more non-competitive. It could be gentle, it could be unmeasured, it could be more intuitive and a little bit more personal. Now, if you're interested in some of the other ideas I've had for the fitness models that are a little bit out of the ordinary, check out the episode I did, 8 crazy fitness business models you haven't considered. It's episode 38 of the Business of Fitness podcast. Okay, final question. Question 6 you should be able to answer yes to before adding Hyrox to your gym. Are you confident that Hyrox won't dilute your brand? Now, your business's brand is one of the most precious things you can own. And I don't mean your logo or your website or your colors or your t-shirt. I mean everything your brand stands for. The culture, the experience you offer, how people feel when they think about you. Brand is something you should protect with your life. Your brand is yours and yours alone. It's something that you have built and you have nurtured to be exactly what you want it to be. And you've got complete control over your brand. It is deeply personal. Now, the risk in aligning yourself with an external brand like Hyrox or CrossFit, for example, is that you take on some of their brand, the bad as well as the good. You're handing over creative control. Let's have a look at what happened to CrossFit in 2020. The founder and CEO, Greg Glassman, posted a racially insensitive tweet. This is widely accepted as a turning point for CrossFit, where its growth trajectory slowed. The public lost trust with the brand, and thousands of CrossFit licenses had their brands damaged by association. Now, you need to decide if you are aligning with the values of Hyrox's leadership and their company brand, and if you're willing to accept any negative blowback that may occur in the future, or whether you prefer to be a master of your own destiny. Okay, so those are the 6 questions I'd ask. And look, I'm not anti-Hyrox in any way. I'm not anti any fitness movement. I think anything that gets one more person exercising than otherwise would is a net win. But I am a contrarian. And to repeat that line I've already used, I like to zig when everyone else is zagging. I covered a similar topic in episode 42 of the Business of Fitness podcast, how to boost gym profit with ice baths and saunas. Check that out for a little bit more of a contrarian view on that topic. Now, I know how hard it is to run a successful fitness business. I've done it for 19 years. So I wanted to play devil's advocate on this issue and at least encourage people to question their choices to go down the Hyrox path, to examine the option from all sides. Ask yourself these 6 questions. Here they are again. Does Hyrox solve a problem your avatar has better than the solution you're already providing? Does Hyrox strengthen your USP? Does Hyrox dilute the service you're already offering? Can you do a better job of offering Hyrox than anyone else? Or can you offer Hyrox differently to everyone else? Is there a hidden opportunity to go in a completely different direction? And finally, are you confident that Hyrox won't dilute your brand? If you answered yes to these 6 questions, Hyrox might just be an excellent business decision for you. If you answered no, it might be worth digging a little deeper before taking the plunge. Here are 5 action steps from today's episode. Review your business's core avatar and your value proposition to determine if Hyrox training directly solves a top priority problem for them. Clarify your gym's USP, your unique selling proposition, and evaluate whether adding Hyrox strengthens or dilutes that unique positioning. Audit your current service offerings, the experiences you provide, to ensure that adding Hyrox isn't going to create goal dilution or confuse your ideal clients. Brainstorm ways that you could offer Hyrox training differently to stand out rather than just competing to be the best. And finally, consider alternative services or training models that could appeal to underserved segments instead of just following the Hyrox crowd. Now, if you enjoyed this, you'll also enjoy the following. They're some of the most popular episodes of the podcast on topics that are pretty similar to this one. There's episode number 63, 10 ways to ensure your side hustle will make 50,000. Episode 48, 9 ways to pivot your fitness business to earn more. Episode 42, saunas and ice baths, a moneymaker for gyms. And finally, episode number 38, 8 crazy fitness business models you haven't considered.